Good morning, everyone, from beautiful Salem, Oregon. I'm here today at the Lancaster Mall. They have a big empty parking lot here, so come here often to practice motorcycle stuff. I've been asked by several people who have recommended to do this pattern right here, which is a 15-foot by 3 foot, and then move up to a by 5 foot, and then by a 7 foot pattern. So the deal with this pattern, I mean, it's kind of almost a boring thing to do. I mean, it's just some cones in the parking lot. That's kind of the idea. But what I really like about this pattern is it helps us practice using the friction zone, and not just holding the clutch in the friction zone, but modulating the friction zone a bit. So what we would do for this pattern, I'll start from this end probably. For the 15 foot by 3 foot, we will go around this cone and then proceed to the opposite side of that cone over there and do a slight turn to the left, and then proceed to this next cone, and so on. But so basically the idea behind this pattern is to, rather than ride it with the bike straight up, we want to start learning to lean into these corners a little bit. And to do that, we'll modulate the friction zone. So the whole exercise should be in the friction zone, but as we get to these turns, to help the motorcycle lean, we will pull the clutch in slightly to release and let a little bit less power going to the rear wheel, which helps the motorcycle lean. And then as we get to the other side, release the clutch back out to where it was before. Not all the way out, but within the friction zone. So the whole range of movement is maybe that much. It's really slight, so it's hard to pick up visually. And then we get over here, pull the clutch in just a touch, let it out, and these are only 15 feet apart. It's not very far, so we'll be in the friction zone the whole time. Okay, real quick word on the friction zone. So we're talking about, on my motorcycle right there, the clutch is completely disconnected. Right there, it's all the way out. That's how you normally ride, with the clutch completely out. We're talking about right about there, where the clutch starts to grab, to right about there-ish, where you're still slipping the clutch. It's not really fully grabbing yet. And the further you let it out, the more it grabs. So this is a zone right in here. It's a pretty small motion. The whole friction zone is only about that wide. And this exercise, what we're talking about doing, is modulating this friction zone as we go around these cones, which changes how much power goes to the rear wheel. When we pull the clutch inward a little bit, it disengages the clutch a little bit and lets the bike start to lean more. On the other hand, when you come around the other side of the cone and you want to pick the bike up, you let the clutch back out a little bit and let the rear wheel have more power. This whole exercise, you never want to do this. You never want to do this. It's all right in here. And that's really what this whole exercise is about. Okay. So today, I'm trying out a new wireless mic setup. I have two microphones. One is situated where hopefully it'll pick up the engine changes. That's kind of the point here. And you'll still be able to hear my voice, I hope. So I'll try not to talk too much while I'm making the turn so you can hear the engine. But anyways, fundamentals, as always, counter lean when you're going around the corners, proper speed. Not too slow, not too fast. Remember, we're trying to make the bike lean, so too slow is definitely not going to help with that. So it's going to take a little practice to get this one down, but this is kind of what we're looking for, I hope. As you're going through these cones, don't look down at them. Look at the one you're going after, and then by here, I'm looking at the next one, next one, next one, next one, next one, and never look down at them because that'll definitely screw you up on your line. Don't look down at the cones. Counter lean. A little bit of speed. Dragging the rear brake. Friction zone. All the fundamentals. And we get this, we're going to move those cones out to 5 feet. Okay, now we've got the cone spread out to 5 feet. Same basic principles, same friction zone, drag the rear brake, same head and eyes, looking in the next cone, don't look down. The only difference now is we're turning a little bit sharper. I realized that if these were full-size cones, I would probably be hitting most of them. Not really a big deal, just the motion we're making here. I usually practice without the cones. I just put the chalk marks on the ground, and I never tip them over. Okay, now we have the cones at 7 foot apart. So this can get challenging. Don't get frustrated if you don't get it right away. It takes a little practice. If you don't make a cone, you know, don't crash your bike. You don't need to. Just run the cone over, come back, try it again. If you're on a sport bike, hopefully you can see this. So on a sport bike, they tend to not have a lot of range of motion of the handlebars, so it makes it even harder to do this stuff. On most upright bikes, like this bike, I got lots of turning out of the front wheel, so it really helps. So sport bike's going to be a little bit harder. You may even need to spread the cones out a little bit more, but don't do it to the point that the exercise is worthless. Just keep speed up a little bit. Don't try to do it too slow because you do need to lean. It's kind of the whole point. Kind of get into a rhythm. Turn the bars. Don't look down at the cones. And by the time you get this exercise down, you're going to have pretty good feel for what it feels like to turn and lean and turn your bars a bit, which is really the fundamentals of doing a good U-turn, which is kind of what we were after to begin with. Kind of ran out of room there. You may or may not be full lock doing this. It doesn't really matter. That's really dictated by the speed you're going, so just adjust your speed to make it work. There's nothing saying you need to be full lock to make a U-turn either. It is easy to run out of room doing this, which is what I just did, which means you're off just a little bit on your turns and you're eating up space in the next turn by getting into it a little bit late. So if that happens, just try to be a little bit tighter on your turns. And that just demonstrates that last turn every one of these turns is the beginning of a U-turn. So if you can do this, it's not a big step up to a tight U-turn from there. The only difference is you're going to stay in that turn a little bit longer, and for a U-turn you're going to want to get your head and eyes around as opposed to looking for the next cone. Get your head and eyes around behind you, whichever direction you happen to be going, and that'll really help you tighten up those turns.